First of all, it's
you sure you want to go there?
Tie-breaking vote.
You sure you want to go there?
Go outside, Congressman. When you go outside,
you sure you want to go there?
district,
Okay, let's go there.
You
got notes. You got notes, Angela Rye.
That's fine. I have notes too.
I'm gonna give it to Charlamagne.
Note I have today
I'm gonna give it to Charlamagne.
is that on every question I've asked.
Byron Donalds calmly destroys the Breakfast Club this morning when he got into a spat with Angela Rye. Now, understand something who Angela Rye is. She grew up in Seattle. She's been a liberal political commentator, even for CNN. So she hates Trump. There's no question about it. And when Byron Donalds brings the receipts on why people should not be voting for Kamala Harris, she just loses it. So what we're going to do is react to the clips and start with the inflation conversation. Watch.
Are we thriving? Are members in your state?
I would argue we're not really thriving right now. This inflation, which by the way was brought to us by Kamala Harris, has really slowed down people from being able to excel.
By Kamala?
Yes.
Vice president.
Charlamagne.
It's still the president.
Charlamagne, listen, man. When Joe Biden wanted to do his American Rescue Plan, Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate. She broke the tie that started this inflation that has hurt so many people in our country. Everybody listening to your show, it's not true?
First of all, you sure you want to go there? Tie-breaking vote.
You sure you want to go there?
Go outside, Congressman. When you go outside,
you sure you want to go there? Okay, let's go there.
You got notes. You got notes, Angela Rye.
That's fine. I have notes.
I'm gonna give it to Charlamagne.
The biggest note I have today
I'm gonna give it to Charlamagne.
is that on every question I've asked,
because Angela, hold on now.
For every infrastructure project in your community,
you can go to
you
third
should go
page
out
just to
and
highlight a
thank
portion.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Congress that voted for the American Rescue Plan.
Angela,
that's what should be happening.
Larry Summers wrote an op-ed back in 2021. Larry Summers was the Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton. He was an economic advisor to Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. He said that the American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden wanted, that Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate, would create a massive inflation that we have not seen in a generation. Well, guess what? Larry Summers was correct. You know who also was correct, Angela? I was, because I was in the budget committee when they brought the bill. And I said in that committee, it's going to cause massive inflation. That's what happened. So the problem we have in our economy today is that prices have gone up massively. Wages adjusted for inflation is down. People's pocketbooks are hurting. But we have a presidential election in 40 days. So, and I'm gonna ask Envy this question. Envy, you're in the housing business as well. I know because I listen to the show. Interviewed. No, I'm just asking them a question. Chill, Angela. So I listen to the show. I know you do a lot of business in housing. Mm-hmm. Would you hire somebody that broke up stuff in one of your houses to fix the other houses?
No.
Exactly. She broke the economy.
I'm not going to do this morning, Byron.
Why are you not going to do this, Angela? Because I'm bringing facts. Hold on now. So now I'm bringing facts and you don't want to do it no more? Come on now, Angela. That's not right. I'm bringing facts. I thought we were going to have a fact-based conversation. I want to have a fact-based conversation.
And that's how you have to do these individuals who are so emotional when you're having these debates and these political conversations. You just got to bring the receipts, because at the end of the day, this back and forth is not to see, oh, did Byron Donalds win or did Angela Rye win? It's for the person watching, the audience, to make up their own mind. And maybe during that exchange, someone out there said, hey, you know what? I didn't know about Larry Summers. Let me go look that up. Oh, I didn't know that she casted the tie-breaking vote. Let me go look that up. So even though we know Byron Donalds going onto the show, he's not going to get the respect that he really deserves, because it's a double standard. When people have opposing views and they go into a show like this, oh, they're going to bring the heat. There's no question. And Angela Rye is not short on being controversial in that regard. Now, she obviously tried to talk over him, which is an emotional thing. She tried to throw insults at him because she's emotional. And this is why I think women like her who are on the Breakfast Club that act this way, I think they make the Breakfast Club look even worse. And so I like how Byron Donalds brought the receipts. Now, we know what the facts are. She did cast a tie-breaking vote for the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it did cause high record inflation since the 1940s. Number three, even though the inflation rate has come down, the damage has been done because it caused what? An increase on prices of everything, and those prices have not come down. And number 4, that's why the polls are the way that they are. It's why Kamala Harris is the worst polling Democrat to run against Trump, is because people on all sides of the political aisle are feeling the inflation. And people like Angela Rye, who don't have any empathy towards that and don't want to acknowledge the facts, this is going to be the downfall of the Democratic Party. And one of the other facts that people, I guess, from the Democratic Party don't want to acknowledge is the huge contrast between former President Trump and President Biden when it comes to the results of their presidency. Watch.
When Donald Trump was president versus when Joe Biden was president, that's what people are looking at right now. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump wages adjusted for inflation were up. Costs were stabilized. And so those two inputs in an economy make you feel like you have more money in your pocket. When Donald Trump came into office, under then President Obama, our economy was somewhat stagnant. We were growing about 1.5% per year. And so his changes in economic and tax policy in particular, but then also regulatory policy, where he cut a ton of regulations, our economic growth moved from 1.5 to 3.5. That's a real boost to people, and they see it and they remember it. Now you have the Biden-Harris economy. Well, we've stagnated again, and inflation is massively up. So how people feel is, wait a minute, I just went to the grocery store. I bought bread. I bought cookies. I brought milk. It's way more expensive. I got a raise, but it doesn't feel like I'm still getting ahead. My rent's more expensive. Fixing my car is more expensive. And all those things are obviously ascribed to the current administration because the inflation started really in September 2021 after the American Rescue Plan, that was Joe Biden's plan, came into law. Mm-hmm. So people are feeling that, Charlamagne.
Actually, let me be fair. Let me tell you what's actually happening and why you keep hearing Democrats say, no, we have the best economy we've ever had in history. On paper, and when you're talking about the elites, when you're talking about the wealthy, when you're talking about big corporations, the economy has been great to them, okay? But when you're talking about working class individuals, when you're talking about families, when you're talking about blue collar workers, when you're talking about the middle class, the lower class, the economy has been terrible. Now, when Trump was the president, the economy was great for everyone. So that's actually the big difference. I don't hear anybody actually going into detail about why the Democrats continue to float this idea that actually the economy is great. Well, it is true, but not for the people who are important to America, which is the working class. It is true for, like I said, the ultra wealthy, because think about how much the stock market has increased since COVID. All of that wealth has increased, but that didn't increase for, like I've been saying, the working class. That increased for the wealthy. And so that's why you have a lot of demographics like Latino voters, black men, just blue collar workers overall, that are now showing a large number of support for former President Trump because the Democratic Party has left them behind in the way that they govern and the policies that they support. If you just look at the results between both presidencies, the working class flourished under Trump, and they have been decimated under Joe Biden. But again, we're talking about common sense, and for some reason, when it comes to policing in America, we can't have an honest conversation with people. And so again, Byron Donalds has to provide that level of common sense to the Breakfast Club host, and just watch how they reacted.
What does qualified immunity have to do with having less police officers?
Because the economic incentive of qualified immunity means that your personal assets aren't gone after if something goes wrong. So, you're in business. Do you get involved in a project or a deal that leaves you massively exposed financially? You may, depending on your passion for that project, but then you also sit back and think, now, wait a minute, if something goes wrong, I'm going to be held massively liable. Maybe I need to do something.
When something goes wrong, we're talking about people getting violently hurt or killed.
Yeah, clearly.
And I named people that you brushed over.
But it's when somebody clearly violates a constitutional right.
And when you violate a constitutional right, qualified immunity doesn't apply to you. And that's what I'm talking about. It does not. And Angela, don't do that. It does not. I thought that was the definition. I thought that was the definition. No, it does not.
I thought that was the definition.
No, it does not. If you carry yourself outside of the confines of your training and the protocols of that department, qualified immunity doesn't apply to you. It does not.
That's not true.
That is very true. That is very true.
That is patently
That
false.
is no, it's patently true, and we need to make sure we have that accurate. We cannot make that statement because you have a lot of officers out here who do their job with honor and dignity and respect for the people that they serve.
Okay, listen, qualified immunity is a legal doctrine that protects government officials from civil lawsuits when they perform their jobs unless they clearly violate a constitutional right.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And what is a violation of that right is when they're outside the norms of their training and the protocols of that department or that agency.
Oh, it's patently false. And then he reads the definition, and of course what he said was patently true. And I don't know why this is a talking point anyway. We already know that if the police officer is following the policy of the department, that police officer is going to be protected because that's the official policy of that department, which is why in the George Floyd situation, it brought a huge spotlight on what are the policies in these police departments? Should these policies be looked at? Should they be removed? Should they be edited, amended, whatever?
But here's the main thing, because we can actually go past qualified immunity because this is the place where you've refused to answer both on Donald Trump's accountability and on the law enforcement that you love so dearly.
Right.
What we know is that he's seeking full immunity, like the same immunity he now has because of the Supreme Court. Because of the corruption of the Supreme Court, we have now gone beyond civil presidential immunity to criminal presidential immunity. He would like to give that same immunity to law enforcement. True or false?
Well, let's expand that a couple
True
things.
or false?
You can't ask a true or false, Angela, because you got to explain the details. No, see, this is the
I
problem.
don't want you to explain the details because when you explain
Why you
the
don't
details,
want people to hear the details, Angela? The details are what the things that matter. You got to explain the details, or then you just talk. You're just talking,
and then explain.
If you don't explain the details, then you're just talking.
Yeah, you don't want to say that because you know that it's not true. So
that is not true. You want a true or false statement,
Congressman? I want to know.
I don't want to argue with you. I want to explain the facts.
Now, if you're getting value from this video, do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to show further support, go to the link in the description, grab yourself a t-shirt, or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, I'll answer the question for Byron Donalds. The answer is false. That is not true whatsoever. And the reason why it's not true, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. Number one, the Supreme Court was very clear that the only immunity that exists for a president is official acts. But again, when you hate Trump, you smear that. And you say, no, Trump's trying to get immune for everything that he's done. No, that's not true whatsoever. What he's doing is a lot of those cases that was brought against him, the evidence and the way that they prosecuted him was using evidence that they gathered during when he was president in his official capacity doing an official act. So yeah, they got to go back and re-look at these cases and the evidence that was used and the evidence that was not allowed to be used. So that's number one. She has no idea what she's talking about on that one. Now, number two, in regards to police officers, no police officer should just have absolute immunity when they do something outside of what the policy is. So as I wrap up this video, the total interview was about at least an hour long to my understanding. And so I just want to show you guys some of the highlights there. But I want to wrap up with some final things. I think it's great to have debates and discourse with people who are of the opposing opinion, right? The Breakfast Club, Angela Rye, they're on the liberal side. And they're on the liberal side, but on the black social justice side. So there's a lot of victimization in their rhetoric. And so when you have a Byron Donalds who comes on, the only indictment that I have against the Breakfast Club is not that they think the way that they do, is that they don't know how to respect people who have opposing views. When you repeatedly cut him off and you smack your teeth and you roll your eyes and you're so unprofessional, you put yourself in that stereotype of a woman who's too emotional to host this show and to have an actual open conversation and a professional dialogue. Now, I don't believe all women are like that. If I'm exercising common sense and I'm an audience member and I'm trying to get something out of this, it's hard to do that when you're over here being unprofessional and interrupting him. The results tell the story. You guys hear me say this all the time. No matter how many more leftists or liberals or progressives or unhinged people who have Trump derangement syndrome continue to say that Trump is a threat to democracy and he's a bad person and blah, 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 blah. the numbers don't show that. It's their feelings that it comes from. So that's my opinion. What do you guys think about Byron Donalds going on to the show and really giving Angela Rye the common sense that she needs? I want to hear what your thoughts are and more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.